What's up, everybody? I'm Greg Miller, and I'm here in Maryland at Firaxis Games to find out all about Civilization 6. Is Civilization 6 the best one yet? No pressure.
Civilization 6 builds on everything we've done before.
Is it the best one yet? Yes or no?
Yes.
That's what I like to hear.
What we've done with this is taken just the best of what we had in past versions of Civilization. We brought forward all the great systems that everybody loved to play with before, and then piled a lot more on top of that.
It's really exciting to have a chance to kind of put our own stamp on the series.
How do you come into Civilization 6 wanting to tweak things, change things, but not change it into something completely different where people are alienated?
We have a rule at Firaxis. You can add 33% new stuff, 33% stuff that you tweak, but the last third should stay pretty much exactly the same. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
What's the most interesting aspect for you?
I would say it comes down to the core tenet of the game, which is unstacking the cities.
In Civ 5 and Civ Games, all the buildings and all the sort of economy stuff you have in your city is all kind of crammed into this city center tile. And the idea with districts that Ed had was to take some of that and put it out on the map. And so each city kind of takes on its own personality.
So it's very clear what that city does. You can see, I have a library, I have a university, or I have a temple.
It changes just about everything. Every time you plop down a settler, you're not just looking at the resources, you're looking at everything around it, because your city gets specialized based on what you're seeing on the map.
Not just aesthetically, but in terms of the gameplay. I'm reading the map in a way that I have never done before.
We have chosen our leaders this time in order to come up with the people who are the biggest personalities. We love having Teddy Roosevelt as our American leader.
Welcome to the United States of America.
We have a whole new diplomatic system for our leaders so that they can bring those personalities into the game. And we call that the agenda system. So we look at what that character did in history. And so for Roosevelt, it is the big stick diplomacy policy. He was going to build up the American military to be strong enough that it was just like hands off of the Americas. He looks at the continent around him, and if anyone's mucking around starting wars there, you're on his list.
Gotcha. We've talked a lot about, you know, Civilization 6 is doing this, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be great. All these things are gonna be great, we get it. But like what I wanna know is, what is the riskiest thing you've done?
We rebuilt the game engine entirely. We had all these things working in Civ 5, and we're just like, out the window. And it actually has worked out well enough that when we get to talking about modability, people are gonna go nuts with how much power we're gonna put in place.
Civ 5 came out, critically acclaimed, everybody likes it, but they're like, well, I feel like I'm using military more than I'm ever using diplomacy. And then as the expansions comes out, it feels like you guys are addressing those concerns. Is that how you guys develop based on what people are saying and seeing how people play the game and move it all together that way?
We absolutely spend more time than the fans think reading those forums.
Cut to you guys crying at the computer.
Yeah.
What is the secret to Civilization? The fact that it's been around 25 years.
The way that it just spans throughout time allows just a limitless amount of ideas to be bolted onto it and have it work and become a whole new game while keeping that same foundation. There's just an amazing amount of stuff you can do with it.
So then, Brian, I mean, you know, changing the art style, going off this age of exploration, do you get to just like decree and throw that gauntlet down and tell them that this is how it is now, this is what happens?
I like to think it was that way, but, no. We're a very collaborative team here. We spend a lot of time concepting, I get ideas from the art team, I take them to the design team, and we just go back and forth. That's why everybody likes our games, I think.
Is that true? Is he selling me a line of bull?
With the age of exploration theme in particular, we knew we were going to make the map more important with the game. And what better way to kind of bring that out is just to have the art style reflected, because the coolest maps in the world are those like early maps where there were sea dragons on the edge of it. As soon as we hit on that theme for the art style, we said, why did it take us 6 civilizations to come up with that?
I'm a really big fan of old cartography maps, and especially the illustrations on there. And we started thinking about that. It seemed like a great fit for our game. So we started to explore that a little bit more in the UI. We explored it in the Fog of War.
This is one of my favorite parts so far that I've seen of Civilization 6, is the way the map unfolds.
The way the fog rolls back is pretty awesome.
You guys have brought up time of day a lot. Is that something that you really hang your hat on? The fact that like the world looks like that and it plays that way?
Well, it's part of our living world. We want to try to create a world that's living and realistic. And changing the time of day is one of the best ways to do that.
When we ran into Cleopatra and we went over to her world, one of the things I thought was fascinating and awesome was that you see she's already built the Sphinx, and the head was off. And it wasn't that, oh, that's just how the Sphinx is. It was that, oh, she's already been in a battle. The world looks alive, and the map looks alive, and the fact that it's telling you the story, that was fascinating.
Absolutely. Everything's destructible. Everything can be pillaged. It adds realism to the world. We also have construction states in some of our districts when you're making them because
Sure.
they take multiple turns to create.
Is that a huge pain for you and your team to have multiple states for everything?
It's worth it. We want to add as many like those small details to the game as possible.
The leaders are really interesting, right? Like they are so fleshed out and realized this time around. That must have been fun, right? To sit down with these historical figures and get to play with them in a way you haven't before.
Oh, absolutely. Since we knew the different play styles, we've come up with different personalities.
Yeah.
You're getting much closer to the leaders this time, too. So you see a lot of their emotions. It's just amazing. I can't wait to show them.
That's my Civilization 6 experience, is going to be wanting to fill in that map and not get immediately killed by barbarians.
Yeah, they're a little tough this game.
Yeah, just a little bit, yeah. Not your fault, though.
I just do the art.
Making the map alive. That's kind of what it boils down to for me, both from an art and from a gameplay perspective. The map is different every time, the leaders that are around you. I feel like that's the common element for everything.